NFL to talk more about this is NFL Insider, my main man, Lake Lewis. Lake, thank you so very much for joining us here. Lake, excitement, energy, all of it palpable throughout this entire stadium. Walk me through where you were and how it felt when Siebert's last field goal went in.
Well, put it like this, he had to make it.
Come on, come on.
You know, for him to go 7-7 on the day, that's big for Washington because they've had their share of kicker troubles, you know.
Sure.
So for him to do that and for these fans to go away, Northwest Stadium, you know, the first win here, and the first win under the new regime, that's big. And they showed a little bit of fight where I'm not so sure in years past, maybe they don't get the W. So for me, I think it was a good win for them over a team that was, what, 7-2-1 in them over the last 10 games. So that's a big divisional win, and you take them how you can get them. Wasn't pretty, but it's a W.
I want to go deeper on Austin Siebert because when you look at this, again, this is a man after following last week, 0 for 2 on field goals, another kick out of bounds. Commanders cut their field goal kicker. Then bring in Austin Siebert at the beginning of the week on Wednesday in practice was the first chance that we had a chance to get eyes on him to come in today and to go 7 for 7, including a game winner. Only in sports do you see stories like this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and they carried him off the field afterwards. So that was a nice moment for a guy that basically bailed the team out today. You know, a team that, again, when you get the ball 7 times and you take it in the red zone, you got to come away with some touchdowns. But he still did his job, and I think for most of the fans, they can breathe a sigh of relief because, you know, Cade York last week, we know he struggled in Tampa, kicked the ball out of bounds once too.
That's right.
So now to be able to come back a week later against the Giants, a nemesis of yours, and produce. I mean, they weren't long field goals, but they were field goals you have to make, and he did.
That's right. That's right. We talked a moment ago about Jayden Daniels before we brought you on here. Again, last week in his debut out there, ran for 88 yards, threw for another 184, although 47 of those were in the first half. Most of those were in garbage time. The talk around the league was, man, he's got to get it done with his arm, not only with his legs. Today he shows that. 23 of 29 passing the ball, moving the ball up and down the field. Your thoughts on Jayden?
Yeah, I mean, 23 of 29, 226 yards. Didn't throw the touchdown, but still, you know, if you notice in the fourth quarter, he started to make those throws. He started to hit Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown, you know, had 53 yards.
Noah Brown.
Absolutely. Noah Brown, 3 tough catches, too, and showed that versatility that they need. Because let's face it, as Jayden goes and as he gets better, he's going to need those receivers to help his game. So for Noah Brown to have the game he did with Terry McLaurin only had 6 catches for 22 yards.
22 yards. Terry got the ball. He didn't get a lot of space after he got it.
Space. But still, you need another guy to step up, and they got that. So that's big. Zach Ertz, 4 catches, 62 yards. You need those kind of numbers if you're going to be productive. But obviously, the biggest thing is they ran the football.
That's right.
You know, Brian Robinson, for him to get 133 yards on 17 carries, that's huge for them. And Austin Eckler had a big game as well. So if you can get that kind of production across the board offensively, it's going to get better. I mean, they played another team that likes to blitz. You know, Brian Burns and Thibodeau, a lot of these guys like to bring pressure. So I think for Jayden, he's being indoctrinated into the NFL. First 2 games against, you know, heavily blitzing type of teams. Next week against Cincinnati, it'll be a little bit more zone coverage type stuff. So hopefully, you know, he's learning as he's going along. Does have to get down a little bit. That
He's got to get down. We saw him take that hit, right?
Yeah. I mean, when he went down literally right behind us, I think everyone in the stadium was like, here we go again.
There was a hush over there.
This can't be happening again. But for him to get up, Chad, I'm telling you, to get up and finish the game and finish it the way he did on the drive at the end of the game to put him in contention to win, that's the kind of stuff that wins over locker rooms. They already know how good he is.
That's right.
But if you questioned his toughness today, he answered that.
No, he answered that, and he answered it in the fourth quarter. I mean, this was a team that was trailing initially. I mean, just on that drive, leading them into field goal territory, and then on the final drive, making sure that they got down in position to win. He made a few winning plays, and those winning plays take more than just talent alone.
Yeah, I mean, the scramble that got it down to the 5-yard line, that was when you knew, okay, they're probably going to win this game now because they're as close as they can get without scoring. But those are the things that he's just a gamer. And he told us this last week in Tampa. You know, he said, I'm a football player. He doesn't think about the hits. He doesn't think about when he should get down all the time. that stuff will come with time, but I think for the most part, he's just a competitive kid.
Wow.
And that's what you want at the most important position in all of sports, quarterback. You want a dog out there. You want a guy that's competing to the very end, and he's done that 2 weekends in a row. Today they got the W, and it was big.
You spoke a moment ago about Brian Robinson, and as we'll get to Brian Robinson and his yards rushing, because he averaged nearly 9 yards per carry out there. Yeah. This is not college. Yeah. This is not high school. This is the NFL, nearly 9 yards per carry. Before we get to Brian, let's talk about that offensive line, because this is a unit that has been questioned. Yeah. They came out against a Giants quality front. Yeah. And he ran for nearly 9 yards per carry.
Yeah, and you have to give him credit. I know they have the 5 false starts. Yes. You know, I think 3 of them were by Sam Cosmi, which never happens. That's a Pro Bowl guy in the making, folks. But for them, I think the offensive line showed some toughness. Mm-hmm. And this turned into be what we always thought it would be, an old-school NFC East smash-mouth football game. And I said whoever wins the turnover battle and whoever can run the football effectively wins the game, and they did. So you have to give the offensive line a lot of credit. Brandon Coleman came off, went back in himself, showed some toughness. That's another rookie. So you're seeing these new faces, and they're, you know, learning the game as it goes along because they've never played pro ball. So I think it's a good start for them. I really do. I mean, I think last year was so porous, that offensive line, to see where they are now. And to do it under Bobby Johnson, who used to be the
Here with the Giants.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Used to be the Giants offensive line coach. So there's a little bit of payback on that one because, you know, a lot of people up there didn't think he was doing a good job. Well, he's doing a really good job here, and it's only going to get better. It's just the second game of the season. They're 1-1, you know, but when you see these young guys and you see the new faces, I mean, you look at their new centers, a new starter. Their starting right guard is another one. I mean, you have so many new pieces to the equation now, and they're going to get better as time goes on.
Now I want to go ahead and talk fully about Brian Robinson, because when you look at this young man, he's someone who has had so much promise, so much potential. We know all of the things that he's overcome off of the field as well. It was almost as if we here in the Washington area have been waiting for him to have that I am here game.
Yes.
I feel like today he announced his arrival.
Yeah, I mean, and we've all known that Brian was really good. You know, we remember that at Alabama, for God's sake. He was a really good running back. Just wasn't utilized the past few years. And last year with Eric Bieniemy, for whatever reason, they just refused to run the football.
Sure.
So now you have to think of the little things. The fact that Austin Eckler, a seasoned veteran, has had a lot of success. He's here, and he's here with his position coach, who he played for out with the Chargers, and Anthony Lynn. So you think about those two guys together and just the knowledge that they have from a coach perspective, from a player veteran perspective, that's going to help Brian. Well, you saw it today. Sure. It all came to fruition where you can just see the light bulb is on now. And he proved last year he could catch the ball at the backfield. Today it was sledgehammer running, tough runs, and that's what you want. That's going to take pressure off Jaden to have to do everything himself.
And if you're just now joining us here on Fox5 DC, I am Chad Ricardo here right now with NFL insider Lake Lewis, recapping the Washington Commanders' victory here at home, 21-18, a last-second dramatic victory over the New York Giants. Like earlier in the week, you know, again on Wednesday we had a chance to hear from Coach Dan Quinn. I asked him how important this game was, albeit just week 2. Yeah. But to me, if this team loses week 2, then a bit of this excitement and energy in the DMV would have begun to go away again. Fans would have begun to say, here we go again.
100%.
What were your thoughts coming in? What was this an important game?
Yeah, I said it was a code red. It was a must-win football game just because of the things you just said. This fan base was already a little upset as far as last week, the past few years, and they've been hearing things are different, things have changed, and they wanted to see proof of that as far as a win. Today you saw it. You saw a team that battled. I think in years past, Chad, they may have packed it in, you know. This team didn't. They kept going. They kept fighting, and that's what you want. So, yeah, it was an important game they had to win. And to put it in perspective, do you think that team on the other side of the field, New York media, they're going back there? Trust me, the Sharks are circling the New York already. So, Washington, yeah, they get the pressure off for one more week. then naturally Cincinnati next week. That's going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one as well, but there's going to be a lot of wind in those sails now as the Washington Commanders win their home opener, moving their record to 1-1. I'm Chad Ricardo here with Lake Lewis. We'll have one more segment with this man and all of his knowledge next. I am here now with Lake Lewis. So, Lake, we know that the Commanders were able to win this victory here today. Again, given that momentum moving forward, we talked about it. We got a Monday night game coming up. Give us our thoughts now headed into that big Monday night game.
I mean, it's going to be a big game. Obviously, Cincinnati's a team that some people think are a Super Bowl contender.
That's right.
They have one of the best quarterbacks in the game in Joe Burrow, one of the best receivers in Jamar Chase. But they didn't look too good last week.
Sure.
Obviously, today, they're going to have another tough battle. But I think Washington can go in there now with a lot of energy, a lot of confidence that, hey, you know, we can be something.
That's right.
But we just have to keep grinding it out. We have to keep fighting. And the fact that your rookie quarterback's leading you, now you saw that you have that running game
Sure.
that everyone thought you would have. And the defense did make plays. Say what you want about them giving up chunk plays and yards. I mean, they held the Giants to 5 field goals. 3 field goals, and they did score late in the game. But I think for most part, you saw in the fourth quarter, them start to kind of get it together and start to figure some things out. So, again, it's going to be a daunting task going up to Cincinnati. It's always going to be that. It's prime time, but they have a chance to change the narrative again. You know, they don't perform well on prime time, so they have a chance to go into Cincinnati and listen, man, it's wishful thinking right now, but if you go into Cincinnati and get a W, this place is going to be rocking real soon. So why not Washington? You know, give them a chance, and we'll see how it plays out.
And quickly, we'll go big picture here because, you know, obviously in the NFC East, a lot of the talk starts with the Philadelphia Eagles. Last week, the Dallas Cowboys looked outstanding. Today, not so much.
No.
Now, with notching a victory over the Giants, what are your hopes early hopes now for the Commanders in the NFC East, given what we know now?
Well, listen, man, it's all playing out perfect. My plan, I actually did say this. I said the Eagles are going to win the division running away, and I still feel that way.
That's right.
But I said I'm not so sure Dallas is a lock to be the second team. I thought Washington had a chance. I thought the Giants would be the bottom feeder in the division, and it's looking like things could be shaping up that way. It's still early. Dallas has a lot of talent. But the Commanders have talent, and they're still learning how to play together. So if they can steal some of these wins, you go into a Cincinnati or you go after that to Arizona and you get a W, and let's just say you're coming out of the first quarter of the season with a 2-2 record or maybe even a 3-1 record, there's no reason to think this team couldn't compete for a wild card playoff spot.
And now Cincinnati coming up, Arizona coming up right after that. Lake, 10 seconds or less, tell everybody where they can see more of you.
I appreciate that. You can follow me on social media at Lake Lewis Jr. You can check out my show, Lake Lewis Jr. Show, which you can subscribe to on YouTube or go to sportsjourney.com or any podcast carrier. And, yeah, you can go to sportsjourney.com. So, you know, you can also check me out sometimes on some other stations.
My main man, NFL insider Lake Lewis. We'll be right back with you here from Northwest Stadium.